Hi and welcome to this short vidcast around a concept that is pretty familiar to most workplaces, and that is the concept of strategic planning. Now, interestingly, if we look at the concept of strategic planning, often what we find is the return on investment can sometimes be questionable. And I guess there's a few reasons for that, and I want to share that as we go on today. But I don't know whether you've noticed, but the world is really changing and it's changing fast. I don't know whether you've ever noticed the concept that we've gone from local focus to global focus, from download to upload, and now instead of that tag being made in China, the world shifted to it's almost made for China, or one of those big four nations like Brazil, Russia, India, or China. So there's a zeitgeist in play, a changing of the times, a spirit of the times, where things are getting much busier, much quicker, and our landscape at work is changing fundamentally. Now, I mean, we'd all wish that work was to look a bit like this, wouldn't we? But the reality is that work's a lot like this, or it certainly feels that way. So I think that the concept or the idea around having a strategic planning session is often met with a kind of, a big thumbs up from everyone. But unfortunately, we never seem to get what we need out of them. And I think that that's fundamentally because people tend to work on the principle that if we go from business as usual and we employ a strategy, if we can get people to own that change, then we're good to go. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite work like that because I believe there's two stages in the middle of this journey from business as usual to getting people to truly own the change. And I'd like to share those with you. So the first of these, which we look at, because ownership to change just won't happen unless we can get these first 2 points in line. So the first of these is to make sure that to go from business as usual on our journey to ownership to change is to make sure that we get people in a different mindset of thinking. They really need to think differently. And so when I'm working with clients to take them through their strategic planning workshops, we really do concentrate on mindsets. So setting the mind. Because when you think about it, every plan is perfect, isn't it? I mean, every diet book works, every wealth creation book works, but the one determinant between success and failure is how people think. And it's no different with strategic planning at work. So two key mindsets we take people through are firstly ensuring that they have a possibility mindset, and secondly that they have a persistence mindset, so making sure that they can push through and make sure we consolidate whatever's been achieved. The second out of these levels is making sure that we create a space and a place where we have permission to change. So we don't move straight from different thinking into ownership of change. What we need to do is make sure that people have that permission to be able to change, because if you don't, what we actually have is what we call a blasting impression. It's where we turn around and we impose a new way of thinking or a new strategy upon people. And the problem with blasting impressions is they feel a lot like drinking from a fire hose, So sure, it'll give you, it'll quench your thirst, it'll give you what you need, but not necessarily the way that you want it. So creating that permission to change is so critical on our pathway towards creating an ownership for change. And so I think that this is a four-way process when you undertake strategic planning. Is you need to move from the business as usual mindset into a different thinking altogether, a different mindset altogether. And through doing that, what we do as a group is create a permission to change, both as individuals and as a team. And in turn, what we do is achieve that holy grail at the top, and that is an ownership to change, where everyone owns the pathway forward. And so that's how we approach strategic planning when we run it with organisations from small to medium enterprise businesses to some of the most recognisable brands in Australia. So if that's a process that you'd like to know more about, or you'd like to talk to us further on how you might be able to do that yourself, please either get in contact with us through the web or email, or give us a call on 0438 536 805. We'd love to talk to you, and thanks for tuning in and checking this out. Bye bye now.